Hi, everybody. I'm Dave,
And I'm John.
and this is Coffee and Capes, our podcast about two of our favorite things drinking coffee and talking about geek culture.
Yeah, I think today is definitely going to be the rambling nerd out session. Not that most of them don't end up that way, but this one definitely I think is going to have some wild rabbit holes that we end up going down.
Yeah, rambling nerd session could probably be our subtitle.
Yes. Yeah. For like everything.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, we're so glad that you have found us, friends, in whatever manner you did. Maybe you're seeing us. We like it when you see us. Hi.
Hi guys.
Maybe you're listening to us. Hi. John, tell the people all the ways they can connect with us.
Yeah. So guys, you if you are watching us, you probably found us on YouTube. So hello. Otherwise, if you're listening to us, guys, we're on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcast, your mom's podcast. I don't know. There's a ton of different podcast channels out there. I bet you your mom's podcast channel like exists, and it's just like a whole bunch of podcasts dedicated to moms.
Oh, my cousin told me there's a thing called Podcast Addict, and he found us through that.
Ooh, Podcast Addict.
Yeah,
that's great.
I don't know.
I like the idea that we are so good at podcasting that people are addicted. There's no treatment for that, by the way. Just turn it off. Also, guys,
you turn it up to 11. That's the treatment. Turn it up to 11. Yeah,
turn it to 11. Just go rock out. Guys, you can find us on Instagram at coffee_N_capes. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, as usual. Not on TikTok yet. Sorry, everybody. And then you can find us at our beautiful, amazing, retooled website, which if you just go into your little web browser and type comics.coffee, you will get to our website.
What? That's crazy.
I know. It's crazy talk. It is crazy talk. And while we're on the subject of social media, guys, I do want to point out that we have a fundraiser going right now for Philip Taylor, who on Instagram is known as One True Nerd King. It's the word one _true_nerd king. His daughter Gwen is going through chemo for the second time. He was online kind of selling off and auctioning off his comics from his collection to be able to pay for her treatment. And we just didn't think that was something that he should have to do. So we created a fundraiser t-shirt for Gwen's friends. Go to the website, check it out. You can also find it on social. All of the proceeds past like what it costs to make the shirt and ship it, every penny is going to Philip and Gwen and their family to help pay for the chemo. So grab one, take a picture of yourself wearing it, tag us, tag Philip and One True Nerd King. If you don't know who he is, he's great. He does a lot of stuff like top 5 comic rundowns to invest in during the week. He does a lot of content on social. He's really active within the comic book community, and he's just a great guy. And this is one of those, we talk about community a lot. This is one of those times that like, you kind of put your money where your mouth is when you talk about how important community is, and we're not afraid to do that because it really is a part of our ethos. And so yeah, go grab a shirt, rock it. Comes in 3 colors, and it looks pretty fun, I think.
Yeah, I think
I am not a professional t-shirt designer. I want to put that out there right now. It's just is what it is, guys, but it's a good cause. So
it's a great cause. Yeah, really important cause. So
okay.
We hope you'll join us in hope you'll join us in being Gwen friends.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's 2 positives this does. The first one is it helps pay for Gwen's chemo treatment, right? That's the most important. The second one is it helps Philip not have to sell off his comic book collection to do it. Those are 2 pretty good causes.
Yeah, and somewhere distant third there, you get a pretty cool t-shirt.
You do get a pretty cool t-shirt. Yeah, it's comfortable. I will tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, it is a comfortable t-shirt. And then, of course, back to the particulars, you can always email us at supers@coffee, the letter N, the word capes.com. And that's SUPERS. We do actually respond to emails. We got one from somebody who
Yay.
wants us to be on their podcast.
Well, that's just crazy and awesome.
I know, right? So we'll get back to that person and chat with them a little bit about that. We are going to end up the Genre Geeks guys asked us to be on their podcast and discuss one of the currently released Disney Plus items, Miss Marvel. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. Yeah, they're fun guys. Dave, what's next on our agenda?
Well, what coffee are we sponsored by today?
What
coffee are we highlighting today?
The coffee we're highlighting today is one I don't have a bag of in my hands, but we're going to highlight our limited edition Asgardian Amber to celebrate the release of Thor: Love and Thunder. We're both huge movie nerds. Both are really excited for this. Dave is a little bit more because he is a little bit bigger Thor fan than I am.
It's true. It's so true.
But to celebrate it, we are releasing a limited edition medium roast called Asgardian Amber. It has like hints of blueberry, raspberry, honey, and a little bit of milk chocolate, which really, when you think about what they're probably drinking in like Valhalla or in the halls of Asgard, it's got to be pretty close. It's got to be pretty close to what they made, because they didn't use wheat for like ale back then. They used honey.
Right. Yeah. Well, and they made mead, they made mead. Thor's always drinking mead rather than ale or something usually. Well, I mean, he'll drink whatever apparently, but mead is his drink of choice, which, as I understand it, I am not a master brewer or anything, but as I understand it, uses honey. So
that's what I understand too. Yeah. And I am not a drinker at all. Although, the coffee does make me want to slam my cup on the ground and go, I like it. Another. But I don't want to break my cup.
Right. No, because our cups are they're too pretty.
Yeah, the cups are too awesome and amazing. So yeah, Asgardian Amber, it is a limited edition. So guys, once it's gone, it's gone. So go grab one now and grab a comic book while you're at it, because we do have comics available on the website, and we're adding more all the time. We just added a whole bunch of DC, including the most recent Black Adam. There's a movie I'm excited for.
As we have said, yes, very much so. Yeah. So coffee.comics or coffeeandcapes.com.
Yeah, or coffeeandcapes.com. We've got like 8 million different ways you can accidentally find us.
Sweet. So Asgardian Amber, can't wait to get some, and it's gonna be great.
It's arriving from the roaster today.
Yay. Excellent.
I know, I'm excited.
So you mentioned an email. Is that our fan fiction today? Oh no, that was something else. Sorry, we have a fan fiction today though.
We do, but I really kind of just leave it at the thing with the fundraiser for Philip and his family. That's really that's us being fans of our community. So that's our kind of love letter fan fiction to somebody who within the comic book community that we can support and take care of. So
good job.
Be a fan.
John. Thanks for picking up my fumble there. Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're good. That's what we're here for. Speaking of what
one more time, where can people go find that t-shirt?
Yeah, so if you're on Instagram, just click the link in our bio, or you can tap the image of the shirt and you can actually go buy it there, or you can go to our website and then underneath swag you'll find apparel, and it's in there, and it's the Gwen's Friends fundraiser shirt. So grab that. If you buy any of the other shirts, that money doesn't go there. So make sure you get the right shirt.
Yeah. So let's band together like the awesome community that we are and help out Philip and Gwen.
Yeah. I'll be rocking mine in our next podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. All right. So what are we talking about today, John? What are we going to do today, John?
Take over the world.
Take over the world. Exactly.
Yeah. So today, like we're talking about what we think phase 5 might be. Kevin Feige put out a thing and put out a statement that said, I think I've laid some pretty easy clues to help you figure out what phase 5 is. He thinks he's pretty obvious about it and everybody should be able to pick up on it. So we're just going to kind of talk about what we think it might be, what we'd like it to be, right? Which of course is always going to lead to a little bit of a disappointment. Right. But also some of the stuff that's coming up to lead to the big thing in phase 5. We're still in phase 4, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
I don't know. I can't keep up with all the phases.
I'm not phase king, so I don't know what for sure.
We're in. I do want to point out. So I read something about Miss Marvel, and I'm not up to date on Miss Marvel, although I did watch the last episode of Obi-Wan.
I'm not up to date.
You're not up to date?
No.
My hope is that becomes an ongoing series. So interestingly enough, Miss Marvel is the least watched of any of the Disney like Marvel releases, any of the Disney Plus shows that have come out. However, right, and we talked about this a little bit, and this is why I'm bringing this up. However, they are saying that it is attracting the largest audience of a younger age demographic out of any of them.
Yeah.
Right. Which makes total sense. Like we've talked about, like that show feels like it is geared towards, tweens and teens.
Right.
To try and pull that group in, which absolutely they should.
Yes.
Absolutely they should. Not every single show should be about the
50-year-old fans like us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, you're not 50, but I am. Yeah.
I got like not even 6 months now.
Yeah.
Until I'm 50. So yeah, it shouldn't be about everything that we want. Like otherwise the industry is gonna die.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Because when we go, if nobody's interested in it, like it's gonna hit another one of those lulls like it did in the 90s where it just kind of got stagnant and nobody thought it was gonna survive, and Marvel sold every X-Men property,
sold their
to
soul
Fox.
So that they could survive, and then now they're trying to have to piece it back together.
Yeah, now they're trying to go back
like
and
something from Mr. Pandemonium or something. Master Pandemonium.
And so you had all that stuff. So I'm glad that they're doing it. I'm glad to hear that it is reaching the demographic that it clearly looked like it was meant to reach.
Yeah.
That makes me very happy. Which, let's talk, this kind of leads into my first thought on phase 5 is I think we're going to get a couple different properties in phase 5. Right. And I think one of those big properties will be the Champions, geared towards, again, that younger demographic.
Right.
To help like bring them in and give them characters they can connect to. Right. Because they probably all didn't connect to, like, they probably connected to Tom Holland and Spider-Man.
Yeah. Right? I know the teens in my house, dude.
Right. For sure. However, do they really connect to Iron Man? Do they really connect to, like, they enjoy it, but it doesn't connect to them?
Yeah.
Whereas like the younger characters are going to connect to them. So I think that with Ironheart coming out, right, and Riri Williams, that is a property that's going to show up on Disney Plus as a show. I would be really surprised if we didn't see a Champions team up property that became part of whatever the big bad of phase 5 was.
Yeah, right. That makes sense. Now, John, explain for folks that maybe aren't familiar, what's the Champions?
No.
Well played, sir. Well played.
You're welcome. So the Champions is actually it's a team, right, of younger characters who decide that the Avengers aren't really representing what they think heroes should be about, that they're not really taking care of people in the way that they think heroes should be taking care of people, that they're too almost haphazard in creating like ancillary damage. Right. So Miss Marvel, Ironheart, right, Riri Williams, Sam Alexander, who is Nova. We have the Amazing Hulk, which is
Amadeus Cho.
I always think I'm going to call him Alexander Cho, and I have no idea why, but Amadeus Cho. And then a young Scott Summers, right, who has been kind of time warped in. And then, of course,
the best one, in my opinion,
right? Miles Morales. Spider-Man. So it's a pretty amazing and legit team. And the comic
spectacular,
itself is
even.
Oh, spectacular. Yes. The comic itself is wonderful. The art has always been really good. The story is really, really nicely done. I've enjoyed it a ton. It's almost like a superhero coming of age at times, and it's different enough, and it stands on its own well. And the interactions that they have with adult heroes and like the struggles they go against.
Sure. And some of that is like, oh, well, these are heroes that we've looked up to, but now we're kind of disappointed in them. Some of them have been our mentors, and now we're kind of breaking away from them. Like all that stuff that you would expect with a sort of adolescent team.
Yes.
Trying to find their own way, which is, a pretty good metaphor for adolescence itself. Right.
Yeah.
You measure yourself up against your elders and those that have taught you and those that you've been around, and you see their flaws, because, dude, adolescents are the best at seeing hypocrisy in adults, and noticing where we fall down and where we drop the ball, and wanting to do better. So
so it's I think champions will show up.
Yeah, so they're going younger, and then I would say
they're going younger in that property,
right? Yes, yeah. I agree with you that there seem to be sort of two streams. Don't cross the streams. That would be bad.
Thanks, Ray.
Good safety tip. Imagine every molecule of your body exploding at the speed of light.
Can we just talk about for just a moment? I am a massive Ghostbusters fan. Like, I loved the original movie. Sure. I even liked the second Ghostbusters. I thought we
talked about this
all not long ago. Women lineup.
No, that one was good.
Yeah, with Terry Weigel and Melissa McCarthy and everybody was
Leslie Jones, right?
Leslie Jones, just
and Chris Hemsworth as the completely ditzy assistant.
Yes, Hemsworth is like just a great movie adaptation. And then the most recent one, which I found highly entertaining and extremely heartwarming and nostalgic. Have you watched it yet, Dave?
I still haven't. I'm so behind on everything. Please see. Here's where I would put in an asterisk, and on the bottom the note would be see last podcast.
Yeah, see last podcast.
Too much? Sure. Question mark?
Yeah.
Only for me, there's no question mark. There's too much. I'm so behind on so many things.
Yeah, it's worth setting some other.
I believe it. I know. I want to. It's just priorities, man.
But it's just such a great like property. Yeah. I really like it. Anyway, I'll
try not to quote other things that send us down weird rabbit holes, but no promises, because that's sort of what I do.
That's all right. That's okay.
Yeah. So the other stream. So we have one stream that seems to be trending with the younger characters, and I'm going to say if I can put sort of a category or a topic on the other stream, I would say we're kind of trending anti-hero.
Yeah.
And that's why on my background I've got the Thunderbolts with some of the characters that have been introduced and that have begun to be put together in that way. Right. So with Yelena's Black Widow, for sure, and the John Walker U.S. agent, we know have been
Zemo
and Zemo, right, have been contacted by Julia Louis-Dreyfus's character, Viper.
Yes.
Or Miss Hydra. I always get those two confused.
Madam Hydra.
Yeah. No, she's Viper, right? No, she's Viper.
I don't remember.
I don't know. Anyway, she seems to be
bad nerd.
Right. Well, you know what? There's a lot of nerd culture to be.
It wasn't Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Kevin Costner brought them all together.
Oh yeah.
He
was doing a fantastic Julia Louis-Dreyfus imitation. He's that good. He is that good.
He is that good. But yeah, so to your point though, right? Continue.
Oh, so seem to be sort of collecting anti-heroes, or like heroes that are, if not a full-on anti-hero, at least heroes that are kind of on the fringe. Like we saw US Agent go off and be murderous, and a little unhinged, and that's always been part of his character, that he's angry and just 3 steps from going off the deep end at all times.
Yeah, and man, he did such a good job. He did such a good job as that character.
Yeah,
he really did.
Yeah. We've seen Zemo. I don't know that I'm super grabbed by that character very much. Oh, somehow he's a genius, I guess, and is good at swordplay and is rich. Okay, I don't know, but they could be propping him up to sort of be the brains of the operation. And then we've seen a couple other characters, like Abomination showed up in Shang-Chi, and obviously we have the White Vision that just sort of disappeared from the WandaVision show, and we have no idea where that White Vision is running around at the moment. So it could show up. Yeah. We got Ghost over there, that from the, what was that, Wasp and
Quantumania.
Yeah.
Is that it?
No. She was
Ant-Man and Wasp.
Ant-Man and Wasp. Right. Yeah.
Quantumania is the one coming out. So
yeah, right. And then Red Hulk was hinted at in something that I'm totally blanking on right now. Right. But yeah, Thunderbolt, was he supposed to be dead and then he wasn't, or something? Or there was something that hinted at thinking that
I don't remember, but I will say, like, it'll be interesting to see if they pull that, since Hurt passed away.
Right. Yeah, true. Yeah, that could be a thing that doesn't happen, or do they recast it, or just go CGI? That would be weird. I hope they don't do that. And it wouldn't necessarily be all those characters, but I just liked this photo because it has a bunch of these characters that we've seen at least a little bit of. And the Thunderbolts, I'm not some like grand Thunderbolt historian, but my understanding is it's kind of like the Avengers. It's had a lot of different iterations, and you could pretty well get away with any gathering of kind of fringe heroes or anti-heroes and call them Thunderbolts and pretty well get away with it.
Yeah, for sure. And we know we're getting that, right? We know we're getting Thunderbolts. It was announced. It's official. We're going to get Thunderbolts. We also know we're getting Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
And as anybody who's familiar with that, Secret Invasion, pulls everybody in.
Right.
You end up with some pretty rough stuff happening to a lot of characters. And now that Marvel has control over Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Defenders, right? They were a big part of Secret Invasion in the comics.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of underground like team, and they end up forming a version of the Avengers. Speaking of which, we need to talk about like Kate Bishop, right?
Yeah. Kate Bishop could easily end up with the Champions.
Yeah, although I don't think her time with Champions was very long. She was a little older. She's
more Young Avengers, right?
Yeah, more Young Avengers, which we could be getting Young Avengers too.
Yeah, because
you do have with Ant-Man, we saw the 5-year time warp, and we saw his daughter Cassie.
Right, true. Right. Although Feige was pretty clear. I mean, he could just be saying whatever, but he could be lying to us, John. But he said there are no more Avengers.
Yeah, he says that. He says there's no more Avengers, but that doesn't mean like
So I don't think they're going to say no more Avengers and then just give us young Avengers. I think that's why Champions makes more sense, because you could you could do that with the younger characters, the Champions thing with the younger characters, like you were saying. Yeah. And it's, it's kind of like, well, sure, it's a team. It's just not Avengers.
Right. It's just not the Avengers. But to that point, right, you start looking at all the different team iterations that exist and what's kind of been there. And there's always been some form of Avengers. So I'm going to read a little bit in between Feige's, like in between the lines on Feige's statement. And I think what he's saying is there's no more Avengers in that iteration.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. Like,
you don't think he's you don't think he's suddenly Ms. Scarlet Witch and can just be no more Avengers and they all just suddenly die.
Yeah, no.
That would be sad. I don't want him to do that.
I don't want him to do that either. But I do think, with the introduction of, we've got Sam Wilson as Captain America, Bucky's still Winter Soldier. We've got, Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk, still coming. She's been an Avenger. She's also been a member of the Fantastic Four. They're working on the Fantastic Four property. So that's coming. I can't imagine they would start with her in the Fantastic Four and then come in and bring Thing in later. That wouldn't make any sense. Right. We've got Kang the Conqueror coming as like the big bad for this, this phase.
Kang's pretty famous for matching up with with Fantastic Four and the Avengers.
Yeah, he's definitely got a thing. So, there's a lot that can happen, but if we're looking at it kind of all those pieces together, and then Secret Invasion and what Secret Invasion leads into, and Secret Invasion leads into Dark Reign.
Yes.
Right. And Dark Reign, and this is also important to note for Thunderbolts, because I believe at some point Norman Osborn ran Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
He ran Thunderbolts, and then he used the Thunderbolts to become the Dark Avengers.
Right.
Yes. Right. At the end of Secret Invasion.
Connected. Yes.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? The Thunderbolts coming in. We've got Secret Invasion. See, Kevin Feige's like, he has kind of laid it out for us. I think where we're headed is Norman Osborn in charge of like the Thunderbolts.
Because in No Way Home, or in No Way Home Spider-Man, the Norman Osborn, he went a little crazy, but I'm trying to remember the ending there. He was still free, right? He was still alive and he kind of got away, right?
Yeah.
Do I remember that right?
Alive. Well, yeah. and here's the other thing.
My point being, he's out there. Osborn's out there to make this happen.
Right. Yeah. So we could end up with a very different Norman Osborn, right? That in this universe shows up to take control of the Thunderbolts, gets everybody through Secret Invasion, but in the end still is like off his rocker, but he's hiding it like he did.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. He did. He came back and said, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm healthy." And everybody's like, "Oh, hey, good job." Well, yeah, clearly you're reformed from being the Green Goblin. Let's put you in charge of a team of superheroes.
Yes. What could go wrong?
Yeah. Nobody sees this writing on the wall over here.
Right. Yeah.
No. All right. That's fine. So, but he does. He takes control of the Thunderbolts. Like, they essentially save the day at the end of Secret Invasion.
Yes. And that's why they're kind of, ooh, look at us. Yay.
Yeah. Like, they expose all the Skrulls. He takes full credit. The Thunderbolts take full credit. And the government says, no more Avengers. You're in charge.
Yeah.
So Feige's not wrong in saying no more Avengers, because technically after Secret Invasion, the Thunderbolts become kind of the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, that was so Dark Reign was a storyline where kind of the bad guys were in charge.
Initiative. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Initiative where
they
recruited and made all these different superhero teams all throughout the US.
Because of you had to register, and and Osborn took his team that you can see on John's screen if you are watching in one of the ways that you can see and you're not just listening. But you can see that he took what we would think of as villains or best anti-heroes and had them look like some of their counterparts. Like, for instance, Moondragon dressed up like Ms. Marvel.
Right. And Max Gagnon,
former Ms. Marvel before she was Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers.
Yeah. Max Gagnon, the Scorpion, he got bonded with the Venom symbiote and became the Spider-Man for that team.
Yeah.
Bullseye put on the old Hawkeye uniform.
Yep.
And we know that's a possibility because Daredevil is now part of that universe.
Right. Yeah, it'll be just so interesting to see what they do with what they call the street level heroes there of Daredevil
and then
Cage.
I think the thing that really lays it out, and we haven't seen Thor: Love and Thunder, so I don't know this yet, right? And nobody does unless they're part of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Yeah.
But what we do know is that Thor and Jane and Valkyrie all end up in Olympia, right? Mount Olympus. Olympia. That's a town in Washington. And Mount Olympus with the Greek gods, and Ares, the god of war, right, kind of steps in and takes Thor's place in Norman Osborn's team as like the heavy, god character, whatever. And the only two we haven't possibly seen anything about yet would be Daken, so Wolverine's son,
right,
and Sentry,
right. But they could replace those guys with somebody else, or we have seen. I mean, if all of those X-Men properties are now in some way MCU canon, we have seen what's her name? X-23,
Laura Kinney.
Yeah, right. In Logan. So I mean, they could bring her in. I suppose they could bring her into Champions or something. I don't know that they're gonna, but that seems like a bit of a stretch. But that could be the Wolverine style character.
Yeah, I think that. But I do think it's still easy to see the idea that Daken can show up. It's not like it wouldn't be a hard stretch for them to pull him into canon because we haven't seen him yet.
Well, right, but I mean, we have, in a way, it would, I think, because we haven't even seen Wolverine officially in the canon.
But that kind of almost makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Sentry would be an easy pull.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of found by Osborn in the comics as like the, unhinged, little off his rocker. He's part of the Thunderbolts, I believe, originally.
Okay.
I think there was a time where he was. I don't know. He's because of his emotional and mental instability, right?
Right. I think you can make a case that White Vision could sort of be that character, not Sentry, but just sort of be that the character with that semi skill set.
Right. Yeah, you could. And then some of the other characters that we had already, right, that maybe just a little bit in passing. But so here's another thing I think that's interesting, and where we can end up seeing this go with the Dark Reign thing. I mean, we're not going to get, it'd be a hard sell to see us get Robert Downey Jr. back as Tony Stark at some point.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans has come out clearly and said, it would have to be perfect for him to come back as Cap. Although he said he'd be interested in coming back as Johnny Storm.
I saw that. Like, what?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But he was very clear. It's like, it'd have to be absolutely perfect because he loves that character so much.
Sure.
And rightfully so, that character.
Yeah. Well, and it's made him a household name and probably made him very, very rich.
Yeah.
Which is fine for him. Good for you, buddy.
Yeah. Right. And he was a phenomenal Captain America.
So good. Oh, for sure.
Right. So good. However, right? We did get Chris Hemsworth saying he would play Thor for a really long time.
Yeah.
He was, what did he say? He'd do it just to beat whose record? Oh, Hugh Jackman's.
Oh, okay.
He would show up in whatever movies necessary to be able to play his character longer than Hugh Jackman played Wolverine. And then of course somebody said, well, Tobey Maguire now beats everybody.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So, but if you get Chris Hemsworth back, if he's willing to come back and play Thor, and you've got Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and that's obviously still going on.
Mm-hmm.
Do you pull Asgard to? Well, you already have
Asgard's already on Earth.
Yeah, you already have Asgard on Earth, which is a big piece of like how Dark Reign ends, is because Norman Osborn finally goes a little crazy.
Yeah.
Right. And ends up attacking Asgard, like full on attacks Asgard. And then you get like every hero that was underground. And I think it's important to point out that we still like the Segovia Accords and the Registration Act still exist within the MCU. That hasn't gone away.
That's a good point.
They had the blip, but I mean, they even brought it up. What did they bring it up in recently?
I don't know.
It came up in a show.
Okay.
That much I remember.
Maybe Moon Knight?
Maybe Moon Knight. I don't know. But
they
made it really clear that,
again, folks, too much content right now. It's hard to keep it all straight.
So much content, but it's so good.
It's
right.
So good.
Even though we talked about last week being burnt out, talking about like the future of what's coming is exciting.
Well, sure, because that's part of, we talk about that in sports sometimes too. Like the best time to be a fan is just as your team's getting good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's been, and as a White Sox fan, that's been our thing. Like last year was so great because they just are getting good. It seems like, and then this year they're terrible and falling apart and everybody's hurt and blah, blah, blah. And so you build, it's like as the expectations are building is when it feels the most fun because all of the possibilities are still out there.
Right.
You don't know the ways in which they're going to fail yet. And that's kind of where it seems to me, that's kind of where we're at with the MCU, is that there's so many possibilities and they could be phenomenal. And it's fun to just speculate as we have been doing. And then there's still, here's a character we haven't talked about. Deadpool. What do we do with Deadpool? So right? Does he get a role?
Well, and so here's something that I think man, it'd be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun. Give me a Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe movie. that comic
never happened, but that would be hilarious. Yeah.
That comic series though was so good and so entertaining to read, and realize that Deadpool could literally kill everybody in the MCU. Now, it is important to note that like if we're gonna get the Fantastic Four, right? The other thing that we've seen and heard about are incursions.
Well, yeah, right. And we know that's a thing that's happening.
Right. And we know that's a thing
from Multiverse of Madness.
Right. From Multiverse of Madness. So with the incursion piece, that brings up a whole different storyline.
It does. Yeah.
That one goes like space spanning, right? That's galaxy spanning. We don't know though, because we don't know what's going to happen in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We know that a lot of those guys aren't coming back. Dave Bautista is saying goodbye to playing Drax. So already in like social media.
Okay.
Or maybe he's just, who knows? Everybody in Marvel now likes to do probably never do that, and then it happens. Right. But we know that we're gonna get Adam Warlock is gonna show up in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's a character
I don't know anything about. I'll have to read up on that before it comes out. But
Nova, we're supposed to be getting like the Nova is coming in his own movie, and this opens up, man. so much. Like Annihilation Conquest, that's way down the road.
Yeah.
But the incursion piece encompasses like the Guardians and space spanning and protecting Earth and the Inhumans, which
right, and
we
it
haven't
brings
really
back
gotten.
yeah, well, yeah, just a terrible TV show, but
No, we haven't gotten.
Anson Mount and in Doctor Strange would tell you otherwise, but okay.
Anson Mount and Doctor Strange was great.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What a terrible death. What a terrible way to meet your end, though. That was awful. That
being turned into spaghetti.
Whew, I mean, I guess there's no good death, really. Dang it. But the incursion. So that also brings back the Thanos's children. What are they called? The Black Order. The Black Order are part of that.
Black Order.
But yeah, you're right. That goes off in a whole other direction. But it does give us Illuminati. It'd be a chance to bring in Namor, and who knows? Maybe that'll happen in the new Black Panther.
That's like the rumor.
Yeah,
that's the rumor. The rumor is Namor is coming in the new Black Panther movie.
And of course, Namor's pretty strongly connected to the Fantastic Four too, because he's in love with Sue Storm. Hey, I didn't know this. So a guy I follow a lot suggests what's the connection between Kang and Sue Storm? Is Kang Sue Storm's dad?
So Kang is the first Kang, I believe, that gets discovered is Nathaniel Richards. Which is Reed's dad. So it's a Fantastic Four book. I have it.
Yeah. Well, the guy I was referring to, he was suggesting like, well, we know that Kang is played by Jonathan Major, who's black, and that if Kang is black, then Sue Storm kind of needs to be black. And I'm not quite sure I wasn't sure what that connection was, but that would be super interesting if they did that.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but
right. I was just curious because I wasn't aware of what that connection was, and clearly I didn't do any homework to try to figure it out.
That's right.
I don't do well. Sometimes I do podcast homework, but not this time.
Sometimes
there's a lot to keep track of, and we still like what are they going to do with all of the known heroes? Where's Doctor Strange go from here? How, as you mentioned, how do we bring in new Captain America, Sam Wilson Captain America, and what happens with Bucky, and what's Ant-Man up to? Ant-Man and Wasp.
Well, we're gonna find out. Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania.
Sure. Right.
Which I think is probably going to answer some questions that we've got. We've got Jane Foster being introduced as, the mighty Thor.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with that? Like, where is that going to go? And we talked about this a little bit before, and maybe they're setting up a force.
That would be cool. So those of you that might not be familiar. So a few years ago, as part of what would you call it? Kind of a alternate dimension kind of thing, alternate reality kind of thing that happened through the comics, that A-Force was an all female team, kind of like the Avengers, but it had all kinds of super powered, amazing people. And then it and then it came into did it come into the main world? I'm not sure it did. Or was it always just part of Battle World?
No, it came in. So you had Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk.
Yeah.
You had Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel.
Yep.
I mean, you had Janet Van Dyne, Wasp, or Hope Van Dyne. Oh, yeah. You had the Wasp. Yeah. So you just like, it was an all-female, like
Sue Storm was in that, right?
Sue Storm, yeah.
Invisible Woman. Yeah, and that's certainly, that possibility exists as well, that they do the all-female team.
Yeah. But as we're talking about, like, what do we think the breadcrumbs that Feige has put out lead to in phase 5? Right. Yeah. That's what, like, looking at what's coming, looking at what's been announced, looking at what's been done. I think the most realistic phase 5 direction is what we've talked about here. And that is Secret Invasion leading into Dark Reign.
Yeah.
I think that one makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Based on what we've seen.
Yeah. Which pulls in Thunderbolts.
Right. Which pulls in Thunderbolts, which is now a thing.
Yeah.
Right? We know that exists.
And then it could be setting up to end Dark Reign, all these other main heroes that we've been talking about. Where are they? What are they doing? Maybe they have to team up with whatever this version of Champions is to end the Dark Reign.
Right. To show up and
protect, and perhaps to protect Asgard. Like that'd be really interesting.
Yeah. Right. Because that's what happened. Is you had you had the Avengers show up, but you had like Young Avengers and the Patriot and everybody else, right? That came in and were part of that, had an epic moment of, I can't believe we're part of that, where Cap says Avengers assemble, and,
yeah, right.
So it'll be, it'll be interesting. We've got a few things that are still to come to lead up to phase 5. Like we have the Marvels, which is supposed to be Monica Rambeau, Carol Danvers, and Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That thing. So I mean, there's still a bunch that can show up in between. We still have the Spider-Man properties, right? We still have another Spider-Man movie that's coming. There's no way they're going to leave it where it was. We've got Venom 3 coming that they're working on now. Apparently and try and do a Sinister Six with Morbius.
Oh my gosh. Let's just pretend that's not a thing. That exists over there with whatever that was, the thing that I mentioned that you said didn't exist. Oh, the Inhumans. Yeah. Sinister Six can fight the Inhumans, and they can just exist in their own little sandbox and just all go away.
I don't know. I just pictured them all as like little characters in a sandbox, just flipping sand at each other. Like, you can't have that.
That's about what it would be. And the Eternals. What do we do with the Eternals?
Oh yeah. Well, now we know in the comics, like the Eternals are squaring off against the X-Men because the X-Men are deviants.
Yeah.
Right. That's where the X-Men came from. The Eternals consider the X-Men to be deviants.
Yeah.
Right. So now they're conflicted and all that. So I'm excited for that storyline. Kind of.
Okay.
I have that little bit of apprehension from A versus X.
Yeah. Right.
Right. But that's like, I think that's down the line a little bit. And maybe the Eternals end up taking the place of the Avengers in terms of
who are
combating the Dark Reign.
Right. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Well, and then a couple other street level heroes. Like, what about Echo? We know Echo's going to be around. Does she join up with like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and Daredevil?
Blade.
Yeah. Oh gosh, Blade. That whole thing.
Dane Whitman.
Right. Yeah.
Knight. I do think Midnight Suns is coming. I think Midnight Suns is coming because we've got Moon Knight introduced. We've got Dane Whitman back, introduced. We've got Blade coming back.
Yeah.
That puts us in a place where what we're missing is Ghost Rider.
And that'd be easy for them to introduce somewhere along the line.
Yeah, give us Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider. He'd be so good. He'd be really good. For those of you that don't know who Norman Reedus is, go watch Walking Dead.
Well, then we got
Boondocks.
Yeah, right. Oh gosh. Sorcerer Supreme, not Doctor Strange.
Oh, Cleo.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh, I forgot about that. Well, yeah, we have that. I was also thinking just how Wong has been working with Shang-Chi and his friend, played by Awkwafina, who I can't think of the character's name.
I can't think of her name. Yeah.
But like, we've got work to do, and he's got them doing homework or training or something. Like those guys they've got to be part of the next phase too.
Yeah, and that's a good point, right? We got Shang-Chi. He's got to be part of that next phase.
Maybe we get Avengers World.
Oh, that'd be kind of cool.
Where there's like little teams of Avengers all around the world.
Which, again, right, to the Dark Reign kind of storyline, it's kind of what happens is you get all these little like teams all over. Like you had the Midwest team, you had the West Coast team, you had the Southern team, and you had like, it's interesting, you had them all over the place. And maybe you get that, maybe it is, but I just, because there's going to be that moment of no confidence in Nick Fury, because what happens in Secret Invasion, like spoiler alert if you've never read the comics, but Nick Fury ends up being a Skrull. So, you know, he's not actually Nick Fury. There's a big like issue around national security around that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's another reason they turned to Norman Osborn.
And we know in the MCU that Nick Fury's been hanging out with the Skrulls.
Outer space.
Yeah.
Yep. He's in outer space. And there's even, which one was it? Was it was the last Spider-Man movie where they were talking about Nick Fury and like Tom Holland's like, well, I saw Nick Fury a little bit ago or something like that. And it's like, Nick's been in space for months.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So maybe he has been replaced by a Skrull there.
Right. So they're 100% like,
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we know we're getting Secret Invasion. Yeah. Yeah. Well, so that's what, I mean, I guess that's a good combination of what we think is happening and what we want to happen.
I'd like to see it. There's some things that I don't know how they would do it if they're not bringing certain characters back in. I mean, you could have Sam be the Cap that's sitting on the couch kind of in hiding.
Yeah.
Kind of a situation, right? That comes back instead of the Steve Rogers version, which I'm cool with. You know, so you got that. Iron Man, we haven't really gotten like a replacement for Tony yet.
No.
And there never really is. I mean, he's got a younger brother or a brother in the comics that shows up out of kind of somewhere. But with all the incursion stuff too, right? You still
could bring in other versions of anything.
Yeah, you can bring in
anybody.
We could still end up with Tom Cruise as Tony Stark.
Oh my gosh, stop. No, just no, please.
Could be a thing.
No.
Do you think if they brought him in, like, and he was flying around in the armor, he'd say, permission for a flyby? Permission to bust the tower?
Talk to me, Goose.
Talk to me, Goose. Like in his
yes, of course
armor,
he would. Of course he would.
Ray-Bans on.
Yeah. Yes, he would. 100%.
I have yet to see Top Gun Maverick yet.
No, neither have I, but I want to. But we recently rewatched the original Top Gun.
Yeah, you said it didn't hold up as well.
I did. Yeah, it kind of didn't. But that's a different podcast.
Yeah, it's a different podcast.
So, Phase 5. What are you expecting? How do we do with the following the trail of breadcrumbs? What do we miss? What do you think is going to happen? What do you want to have happen? Who are your favorite new characters that are coming up? Let us know. Hit us up on the socials or send us an email, because remember, we're old.
What do you think of Champions idea?
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to happen? I'd be curious to hear like what everybody thinks as they're setting up. So, you know, when the cover for this one goes up and we release it on Instagram, drop a note in the comments. Like, who do you think is going to show up? Where do you think Phase 5 is going?
Awesome. Well, as always, friends, thanks for hanging out with us for a bit here, and we'd love to hear what you think. We just enjoy talking about these crazy, silly things that make us happy to speculate about.
Like Kevin Costner.
Very much like Kevin Costner. We try not to give the just the bland answers. We try to be better than the nuclear Lelouch cliche answers. I'm just here to help the team in any way I can.
Me and Coach.
Let us know what you think, friends. Thanks for being with us on this journey. Go check out and get the Gwen Friends shirt. Let's help out Philip and Gwen and help get that chemo paid for. Thanks for being part of our community. We appreciate you all. Until next time, true believers. Bye.
Bye, guys.